Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I am your host, Roddy John, and today we speak to Harry St. Leger. We talk all about him being a coach, cornering athletes, and coaching techniques. This is such a fun conversation we have with Harry. Harry is such a good dude, and you'll hear it in just a second. Now, also, while you're doing this, go sign up for our newsletter. You get even more information about our guests. You get fun facts, and you get to find out what's happening with your favorite podcast all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Harry St. Leger. I would like to welcome to the show Harry St. Leger. How are you doing today, sir?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Doing well. So, yeah, paint me a word picture for the people listening. Where are you at? What's going on around you so that they know where you're at while you're recording it?
So I'm here with my family. I'm in Northeast Georgia, and I moved out here about August will be 2 years. So just kind of doing the family thing right now.
That's awesome.
Not much going on. Great weather out here. I love it here.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
So you're from Brooklyn, New York, and as much as I love the city, I am unsure I could ever live there because it's too busy for me, which is ironic considering I have FOMO so bad and there's always something going on in New York, and people strive to want to do more things in that city than any other city in the world. But it's too cold, and the heat is incredibly different than it is here in Texas, because here we're used to like 100-degree weather, but there it's so hot because the sun is bouncing off the pavement and hitting you, and so the heat is just a completely different animal there.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's very humid over there, but I feel the same way. I couldn't live there. I mean, at some point, it was good, it was great, but then when I left, I realized that it was better to just come and visit New York City as opposed to living there. So it got crazy, like with traffic and crowded trains, and oh my God, it was terrible.
Yeah. And there's just too many people. There's too many people on top of you, and it's not just the people that live there, but again, that's one of the cities that people love to go visit. So there's even more people on top of that. It's just it's kind of a nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Now, you're not only a judo, but also a jiu-jitsu black belt, along with being a wrestling coach. Is there anything you don't do when it comes to martial arts?
I haven't done any weapons before. When it comes to martial arts, yeah, I've never done like nunchucks or swords or, or anything like that. I mean, I find it interesting. Like, I know there's like other combat, practices like, gun disarmament and stuff like that. I find that very important. It's weird because, I remember I was at the Budokan. The Budokan is actually a place where Randy Brown, I used to train Randy Brown, in Valley Stream, New York, in like Long Island area. And so there was a marshal, and he used to teach these type of things. And I actually seen, a video of a shooting, and it was in my neighborhood. And so I was kind of fascinated. I was like, what happens? Like, how am I supposed to run and all these things like that? So, I mean, there's so much to martial arts. And so I try to, I don't know, maybe my focus should be on other things, but martial arts kind of has me all over the place. So I'm always thinking about what else can I learn? Like every time I go on the trips, I have, if there's always a striking coach, so I always ask them to hold pads for me, and, and when they're not busy or they don't have other sessions with other athletes, I'll have them hold pads for me if they're available. So I love it all. I'll kickbox, I'll do boxing. I love it. Can't get away from it.
That's awesome. What is your earliest memory of martial arts?
My earliest memory of martial arts is doing karate. Actually, I started karate first, but that didn't last very long. It was in. It was just like a big cafeteria, and my parents would take my brother and I to to this school. It was South Shore High School. At the time, it was one of the worst high schools ever, and we would go there on the weekends. And it was just, they would just do forms and blocking and punching. And after that, it just kind of just died off. But then shortly after that, I think it was April, that's when I got into judo.
Oh, so judo came first, and then jiu-jitsu came after that?
Yes, jiu-jitsu came after 2000. Okay, so I did the Olympic trials in 2008, and in 2009 of February or January, February, I believe, that's when I started doing jiu-jitsu. But before
Now,
that, I was watching jiu-jitsu for like almost 2 years.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
So what made
maybe
you finally, go ahead.
but interesting, in 2016, and I remember this very clearly, my very, very first jiu-jitsu class ever, I knew about jiu-jitsu, I wasn't in depth into it, but my very first, jiu-jitsu class was in Brazil. And
Oh, wow.
I went to, my brother and I were selected for, an international tournament for the United States, so we went to go represent the United States in Brazil. And they couldn't find a judo club to go, train or whatever it was. And they said, well, we found a jiu-jitsu place. And I was watching MMA and I knew about the Gracies. And
Right.
I went to, they said, oh, there's this place. And I was like, okay, no problem. I walk in and come to find out it's Hoyler Gracie's Academy.
Jeez.
And yeah, and the place was packed because they found out that we were coming. And it was like 2 rooms, a wall down the middle, and there was heavyweights and lightweights, and they mangled us so bad, but it was so fun. It was so fun.
Yeah, I've only taken one class, and I want to go back. I just need the money and the time to work out properly for myself. But I fully enjoyed it even a week after, when I still felt like somebody had just kicked my ass. It was one of those things that, as a MMA fan, again, you get a new appreciation for an art and a sport in general that you didn't have before, because, you actually tried it. You actually did it. And, as much as I say I did it because I only did one class, but still I at least was, I felt like I held my own. There were some people that were very helpful when it came to, cause I rolled with like at least 4, maybe 5 different people, and they were all very helpful because, again, it seems like just a giant family and brotherhood and sisterhood. And I imagine every gym is going to be different, to where you're going to have the people that are, maybe a little more full of themselves and don't want to help somebody else out. But I just felt like the community was so helpful in wanting to help and build people up in that in general.
I can agree with that. I found it interesting. Like you can walk in a supermarket and see somebody with cauliflower, and you're like, it's almost like, is that my cousin? Like, so it's just, that's what I feel like I got that sense when I got into jiu-jitsu more than my entire time in judo. Like in judo, it's like, it was a little bit more rare, but jiu-jitsu, now you're starting to find it like kind of like a Starbucks. It's like there's one on every corner. And regardless of, the different academies, there's like a certain thing that all jiu-jitsu players share, and I really do like those type of things. I think when you get to a certain level, you're right. There are some people who have like an air of maybe like arrogance, maybe, but, eventually you meet somebody that will humble you.
Yes. Every time. And you're always going to be a novice. And you could be the baddest person in your gym, But as soon as you go to another gym, there's somebody that's the baddest there, and then you got to then, I guess, prove to them and yourself that you can really do it.
Oh, 1000%. It's so
Yeah.
necessary that you hold your own wherever you go. But you could only hold so much.
True. Yeah. Now I've heard that once you get your black belt, that it's great. Yes, congratulations, you're a black belt. But then the reality sets in that you are now the most inexperienced black belt, and you are still having to learn more and then be even better of a black belt. Did you kind of have that same experience whenever you got yours?
So I can, you have all these sayings like, a black belt's just a white belt that never gave up. My coach used to, that's what they say. Another one is my coach would say, he would say, when you get your black belt, now you're ready to learn.
Mm.
So when I used to hear those things, I kind of didn't, I try to keep an open mind and try to keep those type of things, but, I have a very different, I would like to say I have a very different idea about, martial arts, and it should be, I feel like the idea of widespreading this idea it might be often for some people, but I think that in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, some people have this idea that they need to be respected no matter where they are, and people are calling me professor. I could be at the mall. I could be having ice cream with my kids and say, "Hi, professor." I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm just a regular person. I'm Harry," and I don't feel that, like, it doesn't matter because to tell you the truth, when I was a white belt, when I was a blue belt, I was giving purple and brown belts and even black belts trouble. So, but there's more to martial arts than just learning a set of techniques, it's just,
True.
there's so much, like, I feel like, it's not just that, it's how you, create the example for the lower ranks, how, cause they're always going to come after you. They're always going to ask you for your opinions. They're always going to ask, to roll with you because they're interested in getting better. Even then, you have to create this aura of welcoming because you're a black belt, they're less likely to want to train with you because they feel that you might kill them.
Mm.
So, I think it's such a broad idea about how to approach the world of martial arts after you get a black belt. So I think it's very important that we should know that we're not invincible, but at the same time, some other people might think that we're invincible, and we need to let them know that we're just human beings and we're just trying to learn and grow together.
I think a lot more people need to learn that about a lot of things in life, that, we're all just human beings at the end of the day, and, none of us get a choice as to how we're born, where we're born, what we're born, the chemical makeup that we are born, where we're born or where we're raised and all that. And at the end of the day, we are just human, and we are all hopefully here for the same reason of happiness and helping other people and just living the best life that you can live.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to cornering somebody, how does that work for you? And I guess, like, when it comes to who's able to yell out to the fighter using codes, maybe stuff like that, like, how does that process work when it comes to cornering a person?
Well, when it comes to cornering somebody, when you're watching the fight, like, for example, I'm a grappling coach. So I specify once they get into close contact, that's my area of expertise.